Hello everybody! Today we want to show you our first little videos explaining how eSPP works. We, that is Ute Messmer
and Frank Rhode from Westernacher. We will start with some general aspects before we show the first video on forecasting in eSPP.
eSPP, formerly known as SPP, Service Parts Planning, is a tool that is especially designed for centralized after-sales planning processes.
It was a part of APO, Advanced Planning and Optimization, and is now embedded in S/4HANA.
This is leading to a simplified architecture with less interfaces, and it is the next step to interconnect planning and execution processes even more than it was before.
So eSPP covers the end-to-end planning process in one box, starting with the capturing of the historical demands until the deployment of the materials in the whole network.
Compared to the old SPP, there are many additional new functions introduced. For example, AI-based forecasting algorithms like gradient boosting, or for example, multi-echelon inventory optimization.
So we start our video series with the forecasting process in eSPP. The main input to forecasting is the demand history, which is actually captured in the so-called demand capture process. All the parameters that are controlling the forecasting are maintained in a so-called forecast profile. The core of the process is the model evaluation, followed by the model selection that leads actually to the best fitting model, and then the forecasting itself. The outcome are the forecast values for the next periods and also a forecast error. Both are flowing into the next processes like inventory optimization, DRP, and deployment. This is what we are going to show you in the next video series.
Let's see how forecasting works in eSPP. We start with the forecasting UI, which usually is the tool where the planner sees all the forecasts on the different product locations. We are starting with the product eSPP 004 _FRO. And what the UI is showing first time is the bill of distribution, the network where this product is assigned to. We have in our system a 3-level BOD with 9 different locations. And we start the forecasting journey on location SPP 6. By double-clicking the location, you see down here the screen is filled where we see the forecast UI and the forecasting key figures. We have different key figures that are shown at the moment that is customizable, and you can even hide or insert some more key figures. We see only the most relevant ones here. We see the final history, the forecast itself. When the system is performing an outlier correction, it's visible here. We have the ex-post forecast where the new forecasting model is applied into the past and we see the results. Another key figure is the manual forecast where you can override it. And then we have the key figures that are most relevant for the next processes. That is a final demand forecast and the standard deviation of the final demand forecast. Further down, we have the forecasting profile where we have different parameters that are controlling the forecast itself. So main input is the forecast strategy that we can see here. And if you open the drop-down menu, you do see all the different forecasting models that are available in eSPP. And further down, we have, for example, number of periods, or if we have an approval, or if we want to use outlier correction and what are the parameters, what is the threshold for it. And so we have a lot of parameter here in the different tabs that can be used to control the forecast itself. At the moment, we do see that the forecast strategy is the moving average here for this product location. And by looking at the graph, we do see how it looks like. So I mark the final history and the forecast, which is equally to the final forecast demand right now. And if we see the charts, you can see that the yellow line is the demand history. So it's kind of seasonal or even seasonal trend model. And the moving average forecast is a green line, which is, well, I would say not the best one, but it is one forecast strategy that a lot of companies are using. So if I would be in the shoes of a planner, I would say, well, that is maybe not the best forecast that I've ever seen. So I'm trying to change the forecast strategy. We can push the change button manually and just simply moving a different forecasting model, which would be, for example, I'm choosing the exponential smoothing, and I calculate the forecast based on that new model. We can see here the pop-up forecast was performed. And we now see in the second line here that the forecast has changed. So the forecast now compared to the key figure demand final forecast, we see it's still different. So it's not moved from the forecast key figure to the final forecast key figure. And on the first or on the left side, we see that the system now performed an outlier correction and the exposed forecast key figure is filled as well. So the new forecast model is applied into the past, and these are the results. So I don't save anything. If we look into the graphical situation right now, we can see, okay, it's now a little bit more seasonal and trendy, I would say, but it looks better, but probably still not really the best one. And now I would like to ask the system if the system can find a better forecast, and therefore we have this nice little button here that is a model selection, the automatic model selection. And if I hit that button, we can see that the system is doing some tests, and the system comes up with the changing the forecast strategy from the exponential smoothing to the F1 strategy. And we say yes. So now you can see down here that the forecast strategy has changed to seasonal trend model with fixed periods. But the key figures did not change yet, so we need to push the forecast button in order to perform the forecast. And now the forecast again changed here, but we still see in the final demand the adjusted forecast is not moved to the final key figure. And we do the same exercise this time and look. And now I would say as a planner, okay, that looks quite okay, I would say. It's not perfect, but the best we can get for this pattern. And we can see as well that the standard deviation is really getting down from 163 to 59. So it's 1/3, or roughly a third better. But we still have not filled the final forecast key figure. Therefore, we need to push the save button, and then we will see that the forecast is moved to the final forecast. We save everything. Approval is executed, and now we can see that the final forecast key figure did change, and the final standard deviation or the standard deviation of the final forecast as well looks much better now. We still have the option, if that is not what I would like to see, or I know that we have, for example, a promotion coming up in April, then we can still override these values manually if we want to. So I would say we need 150 instead of 29. I maintain it, I save it, and now we can see that this key figure or this figure is considered in the final forecast. That is a way how you can overrule manually what the system is telling you. And that was just to explain and to show it in detail. All that can be executed fully, completely automated in the background by a planning service. But of course, that is hard to show and to explain if you don't go into the UI and do it manually. That were some details on how eSPP forecasting works. Hope you join the next video clips as well, where we can get more details of other processes.